And season 2 of Castle Rock comes to an end. And now, if you watched my season 1 review, you know that I was pretty underwhelmed with the season 1 finale, much like most people were. How did this episode fare in comparison to that one? Did season 2 close stronger than season 1? Yes. But, there's a big but here. Here's what I think. When it comes to this episode, it was a little bit of it was a pretty big letdown, honestly, for me. And here's why. I'm going to start with a positive and then move into why it was a negative. First off, I think that they closed out Joy and Annie's storyline beautifully. Now, when this show had started, it had really had them as the central focus of the show. And I thought that that's how the show was going to go throughout and everyone would be secondary. But as the show progressed, and I just talked about this in maybe my last review or maybe 2 reviews ago, that there was this progression throughout where secondary characters became more of a primary focus and the primary characters became just a little less focused on, and everyone kind of divvied up the time and everyone became a main character. And I started to invest myself in Abdi and Nadia and Pops and Ace, all these other characters, and I was like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting that. That's awesome, cool. They started centric, with 2 characters, then they just started to add to that, and I was very excited to see how all of this wrapped up with Chance and everybody. And so here comes the last episode. You have all this intrigue, all this mystery set up, built up, just like in season 1, and within the episode, all of this, like all the supernatural stuff, everything pertaining to the cult, the resurrection of this chick here, Amity, and the stuff with Pops, with Abdi and Nadia, and all that stuff. It's just so rushed, and it feels so anticlimactic. The stuff with Annie and Joy throughout the rest of the episode, their arc is totally completed for me. I felt they finished them strong. So I got a really great Annie and Joy storyline arc that peaked hard and really finished strong. So I'm very happy with our main characters, how the show started. But everything else they added into this, I was just kind of like, that's it? That's what we're doing here? What happened with Chance? Very little. I mean, very, very little. She just goes in, she gets pointed out, she's taken in the house and handcuffed instead of killed for whatever reason. I guess, why didn't they just make her look at the statue? And then just become one of their drones. If as soon as you look at it, you're Medusa, right? It's like a Medusa, you turn to stone. So just turn her head and make her look, and then boom, she's part of the tribe, right? So go and handcuff her, and if you're not going to make her part of the tribe, just kill her. So I don't understand, were they going to use her for a different vessel? How many other people? Because Pops is taken in there, and then when he comes out, they're like, oh hey, whoever. And maybe, okay, so I was talking about before, I don't know how this all works, but I'd have to look back at the name that he uses, that Ace calls Pops when he comes out. Is it the name of one of the previous people who was killed before? The brother that was having the love affair with Nadia. Is that the name of the guy that Pops took over? Can they die and then come back through that ooze again? If so, then they could just recycle bodies all day. But I don't feel like that's true, because Ace freaks out when Pops goes to blow him up. He's like, no! He's really, really frightened by that, because he thinks that's it for him. He's done for. So he couldn't come back, right? So did they just have souls waiting, and why didn't they resurrect them already? I feel like everybody who was part of the group before should already have been there. So how were there any souls left for him to take over? Did I miss something there? I don't know. And one thing I want to point out is in the last episode, I got a lot of feedback in the comments below because I didn't notice that Pops had taken the thing out. I think, last episode, where he dismantled the bomb purposely so that he could infiltrate, which I thought was going to be this big thing. Like, he was going to go in there. He shot himself up with the Haldol, which I love how convenient the length of Haldol is in your body, depending on the character and what's necessary for the show. So when Nadia is shooting up her brother, or well, not her brother, whatever you want to call him, her cousin, what, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes? Like, he's not there very long when she shoots him up. And she shoots him up again, and it wears off very quickly. But Pops does say that there's this French asshole in the back of my head yelling at me, like he's trying to take control, and Pops is just stronger mentally to be able to push him back as long as possible. But, like, they don't even attempt to try anything to save the people who have been turned. Like, there's not even an attempt there of like, well, maybe if we kill this person, maybe if we blow up the statue, maybe if, you know what I mean? So, like, when Pops goes, he gets a brand new body. He's cured of his cancer. He's, he just goes and he grabs a bomb and he shoots a couple people and he blows himself up. And that's the end of Nadia and Abdi and Pop's story. That's it. We get like 2 minutes with them. That's all we get. I don't know. And people would be like, well, what'd you expect? What'd you want? More? I mean, I guess I could go into detail here of more of what I would have wanted to see, but I don't know. I just felt like there was so much more to explore there with those characters. They're just very secondary. It feels like how I would have expected them to play out in the beginning of the season, that the Annie storyline would be the central focus, and then everybody else would be secondary. And that's kind of how this plays out, but that's not how the season plays out. Like, Abdi and these characters are main characters, and they just get very little. Like, I felt Chance was just thrown away. I felt like, I don't know. And the whole plan, because their plan was to take over the world. That's what he's telling his followers there. Like, this is their world. This is his world. Like, this is you're their army. I mean, it's like 400 people, 100,000 people. You're going to take on the world? I guess they're just going to march the statue down the street and then just keep gaining followers. But when you want armies to, like, I guess you'd have to have them stand behind it. But then I guess if anyone fought them, then they would be there to fight. So yeah, their plan is to take over the world. That's a grand scheme, but it doesn't really play for anything. A couple, randomly placed explosives just end that. And then he's, the boys just standing out in the middle of the field because I guess he needs Amity to come back for him to be there, but they need to clear out the land for him. But then he sees something blows up and he's like, all right, peace out. And he just rolls. Like, I thought we were going to get more about who the boy is. The only thing that we gain from this is he's an angel. I mean, Lucifer was an angel, so he's the devil. They have the devil circled in the book in the opening credits, so I don't know. So I guess he's the devil. But so their plan was what? As I said, global domination. This is our land now. The devil's coming to take back his rightful place. And he's going to take some little town, and the evil's going to spread from there, like Hobbs and In the Mouth of Madness. All right, I guess. It was all just so quick and so short-lived and so anticlimactic for me. Is anybody else feeling like this? Like, I feel like, the same thing happened in season 1, except for this time we did get the Annie storyline that was closed out beautifully. Like, I love all the stuff with Annie in this. And just how she betrays them instantly, like, doesn't care at all. Is like, they have bombs downstairs, this is what they're doing, whatever, just give me joy. Get her out of here, save her. Like, she does not care about anybody else, which completely matches her character throughout the show. So I love that. I love that there's no allegiance to anybody. I love that she'll fucking throw everyone under the bus. Does not care if they live, doesn't care if they die, don't care about nothing. She only wants her daughter, the end. And that's fantastic stuff. But yeah, Chance, I don't think I've ever mentioned this, but she actually reminds me of an actress who was in The Killing. She played a character named Bullet. She's been in some of the CW superhero shows. She was in Scream season 1 and 2. Can't remember what her name is. Real tomboyish. She always plays a lesbian in everything she's in. She's got a short black pixie type of cut. Anyways, I just realized that in this episode. She reminds me of Bullet. I always call her Bullet, so I can never remember her name. Completely pointless to even mention, but there you go. I'm mentioning it anyway. And yeah, I still can't figure out why they wouldn't kill Chance or turn her head to make her one of their goons. Like, I got nothing on that. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, Pops really just has that moment where he's like, I deserve it, kill me. And they just blow him up. And it's like, don't you want to like blow up the statue first? Maybe kill the main guy, see if that'll break the... Because they even mention that. They even mention that in here. Like, well, maybe if we do this, it will loosen the grip or completely let all of these people who are possessed go. And then what? I mean, what happens at the end here? Is everybody cured? He has to blow up the house to do that? I mean, they blew up the statue and they blew up the coffins and all of that. That wasn't enough. And then, Ace, he's still alive at the end. So did they have to kill him to break the curse? Can you break the curse? Did everybody have to die? Were people still entranced at the end? They seemed like they were walking around a little bit, but maybe, I don't know. I would assume that the statue's gone, so everyone's back, so they'd revolt against them. That I don't know. It's completely left unexplained. So I have no idea. But anyway, so I guess that's it. I mean, there was really nothing else to talk about in there. Which is just, I don't know. It's too quick. That's nothing. There's nothing to even discuss in there. I mean, yeah, as I sit here for 12 minutes talking about it, but I don't know. I'm not crazy on this, I don't think. We'll see how people feel about this episode. I haven't gotten one single opinion yet, but that's how I'm feeling. Anyway. All right, so Annie goes and she takes her daughter. They've colored her hair. And, of course, we're led to believe that she has been possessed. That Amity is in her body. I mean, we're thinking this the entire time and that it's going to be revealed. And so Annie takes her and she finds Paul Sheldon's work. So I was wrong about this. I thought they essentially just made her dad Paul Sheldon and they weren't going to do that route. But they did do that route. So whoever said that in the comments, somebody mentioned that. And I was like, I don't think so. You were right. I was wrong. I did not think Paul Sheldon would come into play like that. But he does. She becomes obsessed with him. She's reading his book. I like how she still kind of struggles to read when she's reading it to her daughter out loud. Not that I'm the greatest reader out loud. I actually struggle with reading out loud. But yeah, it just kind of fits her reading disability when she's a kid. So I liked that. But she's reading to her daughter and she's just like, wow, great opening. And she's like obsessing over it. And then they cross into Canada. She gets the job and her daughter's acting weird. And she sees her watching a French program without any subtitles. And she's like, oh my God, she knows French. She has to obviously be this chick. She's going to give her the Haldol, which is going to bring her daughter out of it so she can talk to her. Maybe just kind of say goodbye. Maybe she was like, I just want to say goodbye to my daughter. Like, I'm going to kill her. Like, I'm done with it. And I think it's, it's kind of poetic that she takes her out and she, eventually she drowns her out in a lake like she always was originally going to do. So she stopped herself from doing it when she was a little kid. And then ultimately, that's what she ends up doing to her anyways. And then she goes in the house and she starts reading the note and it's the whole, oh shit. Because they do a very good job of leading you and making you think like, oh, we're trying to pull a fast one on you, and you're like, I'm on to you, she's Amity, I knew it, blah, and then when it happens, you're like, I knew it, you can't pull one past, and then it's like, but she really isn't, and you're like, oh shit, but so when she's trying to revive her, I'm sitting there being like, oh my god, I really don't know what's going to happen right now. Is she actually Amity? Is she going to revive her, and then she's going to be like, I am, you fell for my trick, or is she not going to wake up at all? I actually thought that would be a ballsier ending of her not waking up at all. And then when she did come, I shouldn't say wake up, but is, when she has CPR done on her, I don't know what to call that, resurrected. When she brings her out of that, I was actually kind of disappointed, being like, oh man, it would have been way darker had she killed her like that. And then they pull the rug out from under me, and are like, oh no, she really did kill her. And it really was her. I mean, we're to assume it is her. But I don't know. I'm still unsure if she really was Amity. I could see her just leaving her that note anyway. Just so she didn't come looking for her. But I don't know. I mean, maybe she would have just killed her. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not 100% on if she was Amity or not. But that all being said, regardless, she kills her daughter and thinks she kills her daughter until she fantasizes that she saves her life. And in that moment too, because before I realized that she actually did kill her, she tells her that you tripped and you fell, and then the daughter is very forgiving, like, oh my god, you saved me. And I was like, oh, that's an evil, evil trick, man, to play on her inability to remember what's going on here. So I was like, oh, that's good. And then we find out. And the guy comes up, and I was super confused in the moment, because when that guy comes up and he's like, is this seat taken? I was looking and I was like, what seat? I was so confused in that moment, because I was like, are they sitting two apart and she doesn't want him sitting between them? Because she's like, no man's going to come in between us. And I was like, it looks like they're sitting right next to each other. What am I missing here? And then she's looking around the crowd. She sees her mom. And I'm like, okay, well, she's seen her mom throughout, so that's nothing crazy. Then she sees her dad in the audience. And I was like, she's fucking losing it, man. Like, okay, I mean, she's always kind of been off her rocker. But she's totally off her meds by this point. I mean, and unless she's taking, I don't think she is. She's completely off her meds at this point. So she's gone, man. And so she sees the mom, she sees the dad, and then we pan out. We never see Paul Sheldon's face, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know why, what choice that was. Maybe they'll cast him later if they were to bring this back. I don't think so. I think this is just, this is supposed to be the prequel to Misery. So that Misery story, as we know it in the book, could absolutely still happen just how it happens in the book, essentially. Outside of some of Annie's backstory, obviously, is a little different. But, yeah, I mean, the fact that Joy isn't actually in the seat, and they pan back, and that's like, oh, that's the empty seat he was asking for. Like, what do you mean? Of course it's taken. And he's like, shit, sorry, what, is this a spot for your book? Like, I was so confused. I didn't even get that until later. Like, after it had ended, and I was kind of thinking about it, I was like, oh, that's why he asked. I still was just kind of like, thinking about the holy shit, she really did kill her daughter, and was that Amity and all. And then I started thinking more about it. I'm like, oh my god, that's why that guy asked if the seat was taken. So that was good. So all the Annie stuff, really good, super dark ending, and it completely plays with you throughout. Is it Amity? Is it not? Did she kill her daughter? Did she not? Did you, and it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It really, really kind of puts you through the ringer in that regard. So fantastic finish to her story. So half of this episode, loved it. Other half, very underwhelmed. So there you go. Castle Rock season 2 comes to a close. I look forward to season 3 if they make it. I mean, will we see more of anybody from this? Will we go back to Mrs. Torrance? I can't remember her first name in that show. Jane Levy's character, something Torrance. you know, we don't find that out until the end. And she was going to go work at the Overlook or whatever. So I would love for that to be season 3. So maybe that's what we'll get. I don't know. But there you go. What did you guys think? Did you feel like you got everything out of Abdi and Nadia and Chance and Pops? And I mean, were you satisfied there? And were you unsatisfied with Annie's stuff? Like, are you the exact opposite of me? Are you same as me? Are you disappointed in everything? Are you happy in everything? Like, let me know. I'm really curious on how people are going to receive this, because I was not surprised with season 1's reaction. When I got done with that, I was like, oh man, I think everyone's going to feel about how I do right now. And that's, yeah, pretty much what I saw. We'll see. But yeah, I don't even have a lot of notes, man. I realized in the song that Joy and her were listening to in the opening of the show, and in this time when they were listening to it in the car, I could be mistaken, but I swear they say New Jerusalem in the song. Which, if so, that's pretty cool. But anyway, there's my thoughts. So that's it for Castle Rock season 2. It's always interesting coming to the close of, you know, a show that you're watching week to week to week to week and reviewing every week. It's kind of like this finale, and it's like, all right, I guess we're not talking about this storyline anymore, since obviously this is a kind of an anthology show of sorts, and we don't really talk about much from the previous season. So I thought we were going to get more exploration and explanation of what happened at the end of season 1, because the boy, the angel, whatever, is in this. And I was like, oh, maybe this will play into that. But like, what else did we learn that we could have used as reference points for season 1? Nothing that I gathered, but maybe I'll watch some explanation video and I'll be like, oh, okay, they caught that and that's cool, but I missed that and whatever. But I don't see any big revelations coming from any explanation video. But I don't know fucking shit, you know? That's not my kind of video. I'm not here to explain things to you guys. I'm here to just talk. I'm just here to, you know, hash it out and see what you guys think and talk organically back and forth. I'm not an expert on shit. So there you go. There's my thoughts. Adios.